I said, what you doing, boy? I'm still hung up on, ain't no bell, ain't no wind, ain't no ring, ain't no bell. Piece of shit.
That's a good one. I was looking at some of his other stuff today. He has a couple interesting ones. Matt Demirsky, he has, go check out his Reddit page. He has one about like aliens, and then he has another one about, I only read like the title and like a first couple sentences. It was called Oranges. I don't know what it's about.
I always like titles that are like oranges.
I am the Masochist. Welcome back to another installment of r/no sleep. Tonight, my co-pilot, my sidekick, my wingman, Trothborn Son in the house. We have one from Let's Split Up. This is the first one we've done from her.
Let's split up, baby. So that's like Scooby-Doo split up.
It might be.
I think that, so initially I read that and I was like, that's what they always do in Scooby-Doo. They're like, let's split up, and then get killed off real quick. Nobody really gets killed in Scooby-Doo though. No,
they just get scared and then the other people have to like go and rescue them.
And they would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Can I do the title thing?
Go ahead.
Title. I'm still making the face.
Okay. That's good.
Title. As a kid, my best friend said it's easy to get away with murder. Now, I'm worried he wasn't just boasting.
I hate that word. Boasting. I hate it. I've always hated it ever since the first time I heard it.
Do you remember the first time you heard boasting?
Yeah, I was 6 years old. I was in kindergarten. Some teacher said it, and I was like, wow, they must be British or something, because they're like saying, you British piece of shit, boasting about eating biscuits and drinking whiskey and toast. Let's get into it. My friend Sam has always been troubled. The sort of kid that you knew would go down the wrong path and wind up in the news. I remember when the story about Daniel Petrick came out. He was a teen who back in 2007 took his father's gun from a safe after his parents took away Halo 3. He came up behind them and while they were on the sofa watching TV, told them that he had a surprise for them and shot them both.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I can relate to this. I didn't kill my parents.
I think this is based off of true stories. Let me look this up real quick.
Let's take a look.
I have to.
When I was like maybe 12 or 13, I found, mind you, on the side of the road, I found a little CD case that had Dre 2001, had a DMX album, a Tupac, Only God Can Judge Me, Corn Freak on a Leash, and a mix CD of Tool, Deftones, and Nine Inch Nails. And I brought it home, and my sister was like, this is satanic music. And my mom took my CDs, so I fucking locked them all out of the house.
You'll get back in when I get the respect I deserve. Yeah, it is confirmed that is a true plug there. That was a tragic event that happened. Looks like he's 33 years old facing life in prison. But yeah, they took his Xbox away from him, and later that night he came up behind them and shot them both in the back of the head. Not long after the Petrick story came out, I remember Sam laughing and telling me,
Dummy got caught almost immediately. If I were ever gonna do something like that, I'd be smarter about it.
We lived only 3 houses apart, so we used to hang out a lot. Sam was obsessed with true crime, which meant we watched a ton of it. He was drawn to the most heinous stuff, like Catherine Knight, a woman who in 2000 butchered her husband and cooked him up into a meal and hung his skin up to dry. The officers who came to her house brushed against the skin thinking it was a curtain.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, both of them are true stories.
People do some fucky stuff, man.
It's crazy. There's always something crazy happening right next to you that you don't know about.
It takes you into an idea of like, without societal norms and restrictions, what's the world really like?
Yeah, I think it's the basic things are empathy. The people that lack empathy are the ones that are probably more likely to do stuff like that. But
I mean, like, empathy is a real thing, no doubt. We've got it. Most people have it. But to some level, how much of that empathy is real empathy? How much of it is linked to consequence?
This was inappropriate for 12-year-olds, of course, but neither of us had very involved parents. Maybe because of all this stuff, Sam was convinced that evil was pretty much everywhere.
Dude,
he said,
if this is how much we see, the people who are caught, how many do you think get away with it? Not many,
I said confidently.
If they did, we'd hear about it on the news. People would be disappearing. But think how many might be labeled accidents, but are really murders. falls down the stairs, heart attacks. I bet so many people bump off old folks when they don't want to take care of them or want their money. Doubt it.
I said again.
It would be so easy.
Sam said.
I bet there's tons of murders sliding under the radar because people just don't expect you to actually kill. So easy.
In hindsight, this conversation screams red flag. But as kids, we both had a morbid fascination with this stuff.
That's kind of what I was just saying, right? At the end of the day, if you knew you could get away with it, there'd be a lot less people in the world.
But by far, Sam's biggest obsession was the piano wire killer, who strangled 4 women in our city and was never caught. I found out from Sam's dad, not from Sam himself, that one of the victims was actually Sam's older half-sister. She was abducted in '99 when Sam was only 4 years old. Like all the victims, she was found naked, her body recovered from the tunnels under Nicollet Island. And finally, I understood the motive for his true crime obsession. He wanted to catch the person who killed his sister. He was trying to understand how it happened. When I asked him about her, he claimed to remember her singing to him and playing on the swings, and admitted he watched every scrap of news related to her death that he could. So that summer, I suggested we search. Go to the tunnels and look for clues.
Bro.
Sam's eyes lit up.
That would be dope.
We spent a whole summer scoping out those tunnels, winding through unlit utility passage seemingly forever through the cold dark. If you know your way, you can crawl through a narrow passage to Satan's Cave, where teens and urban explorers sneak in to drink, light up, and graffiti their names. There are even some carvings on the cave walls people have made of goat heads and demon faces, but it's mostly just discarded beer bottles and trash. The explorations were thrilling, but the closest we found to anything suspicious was a switchblade, a discarded baby doll, and a loop of wire that seemed likely to have come from a bracelet. Sam insisted the news was all wrong, that the killer wasn't anything like people suspected. Maybe he was right, but he was wrong about the tunnels. There was no evidence there of any killer whatsoever, piano wire or otherwise. After that summer, our interest shifted from true crime to video games. We played lots of shooters, got into sports, taekwondo, and later rowing, backpacking, any wilderness stuff. Sam got into drugs. We'd still occasionally meet up for a hike. I'd go for the nature. He'd go for the opportunity to light up and escape his parents' constant squabbles. But I saw less and less of him. By the time I entered college, he was in and out of jail, getting in trouble for dealing, for breaking and entering, petty crime stuff. The last time I heard from him was when he called me from jail, asking me to bail him out, reminding me what good friends we used to be, reminiscing.
Hey, Rufus,
he said.
Remember that summer we spent searching the tunnels? Yeah.
Pretty transparent, trying to tug at my heartstrings with a bond that wilted years ago, but I smiled anyway because those were better times.
That was dope,
he said.
We never did find much, did we? Nope. Bet if we searched those tunnels now, things would be different. Hey, maybe we go in again once I'm out, yeah? Sure. So, I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
Yeah, okay. I was a sucker. I went and bailed him out later that day. We made plans to hang out, maybe to explore those tunnels again. I knew he'd blow me off, but what can I say? He was an old friend and I felt bad he wound up this way, while my life was pretty steady. What's more, he found out while in custody that his dad had died, unaliving apparently, which was not a surprise to anyone who knew Sam's father, but nonetheless surely must have hit Sam hard. Sam was worried about his mom, having to raise his baby sister alone. Plus, they needed money. They always needed money. He wanted to go check up on the two of them, make sure that they were doing okay without his dad. I told him I was here if he or his family needed any help. I gave him my condolences. He just smiled and told me thanks, and didn't mention his father again on the drive back.
You know, they actually found new evidence in the case,
he said to me when I dropped him off.
Shit, really? Yeah.
The ghost of a smile.
I'll tell you about it next week.
But he didn't get a chance. I got a voice call from him 2 days before we were supposed to meet up. The call dropped before I could answer. When I tried calling him back, it rang a few times and stopped. My subsequent calls went straight to voicemail. Sam ghosting me was nothing new. But when our appointed meetup passed and he still wasn't replying to me, I messaged his mom. She said that he left ranting about the piano wire killer in the tunnels, but she just thought it was his usual talk. He was always spouting big ideas and conspiracy theories, never amounting to anything. She started to complain about how she'd thrown her back out, and with him running off again, there was no one to help but Macy, his little sister. The trash and laundry were too heavy for her to lift by herself. I told her I'd come by later, but now I was truly worried for Sam. Called, messaged, even reported my concerns to the police, but they jumped right to assuming he'd skipped town to avoid a court hearing, which was, I admit, a pretty plausible assumption. No trace of him anywhere. Still no signal from his phone. He'd gotten out of jail, mentioned new evidence, arranged to meet me, and vanished.
All right, so real quick, I'm thinking, dude's obsessed. I mean, his sister dies from piano wire guy when he's 4, right? Becomes obsessed with this shit. Do we really think he's still trying to find evidence on that, or do we think that he's kind of taken that role, like become so obsessed with it that he said, I bet we'd find new evidence? Has he taken over that role? What do you think?
Yeah, it seems like that's a possibility that could happen for sure.
I just kind of wonder. I mean, like, the dude's he's not doing great in life. He's in and out of jail.
He's a little whacked, yeah.
His dad offed himself and his sister's gone. Things are shitty at home. And you just got to wonder if he was kind of telling her, hey, or him, we should go check that out. But he knows there's going to be evidence there because he's taken over the job. It doesn't seem like we're getting into anything supernatural here, which things don't have to be supernatural. Sometimes the real shit's the scary shit.
That's the stuff that could happen. I decided to check the tunnels. The entrance we used as kids was smaller and more overgrown than I remembered. I climbed down the embankment through the brush and dry leaves onto the concrete ledge, and then ducked into the cool darkness of the tunnel with its low ceiling and narrow walls. Flicked on my flashlight. The faint odor of sewage wafted to my nostrils, and I made my way forward, the only sound the echo of my boots treading on the concrete. After a while of running my hand along the cool brick, I paused and turned to glance behind me. The entrance had become a distant square of white light. Was this really a good idea? Well, obviously not, but I might go stumbling into whatever had caused Sam to disappear. Besides which, I couldn't remember the directions to Satan's cave. And even if I did find my way in, what was I supposed to be looking for?
You know, they actually found new evidence in the case.
Sam's hint in our last conversation had me tugging out my phone, searching the news, and I was stunned at the headline that came up.
25 years after brutal killings, piano wire killer confesses.
Whoa. Sam had seriously downplayed this. It wasn't just new evidence, the killer was actually in custody and had confessed. So where the fuck was Sam then? Maybe the police were right about him skipping town, leaving his mother alone to look after his sister, me scrambling to find him, and no one to pick up the pieces from his shattered life. I sighed and headed over to help his mom take out the trash.
Now this makes me think even more so. I just wonder if he became so obsessed with it that now that the guy has confessed, he feels that he needs to carry this on.
Sam's car was in the back when I pulled up, and my spirits lifted. I was eager to chew him out for all the unusual trouble. But when I got inside, his mom told me he wasn't back yet. His car battery died and he had left by bike a few days ago. The house was a mess, filled with empty pizza boxes, several full garbage bags, laundry piled up. Sam's mom, Eleanor, had thrown her back out, I remembered, and couldn't lift heavy things without Sam, so she had no one to take out the trash or carry loads of laundry besides Macy. And Macy wasn't a very consistent helper, being only 11 years old.
Is that Rufus?
Macy came bounding down as I was collecting the trash bags, her nose wrinkled.
It smells like ass in here. You should help your mom out more,
I said. Once I cleared the trash out, I was getting ready to leave, and then a sudden impulse. I went upstairs to the room Sam had been using, thinking he might have left me some hint as to where he'd gone, but I found the room taped off with a giant "Keep Out" sign. Macy, bouncing up the stairs after me, told me no one was allowed in.
Especially me,
she added, making a face.
Well, I'm his best friend, so I'm allowed,
I said, but the door was locked. Undeterred, I started opening drawers downstairs in the main room. When we were little, sometimes Sam would lock his door and his parents would open it and tell him not to shut them out. I vaguely remember there being a key kept in the junk drawer. While searching, I called out to Sam's mom asking if she'd heard anything from him. She shouted back from the basement,
"He'll turn up eventually, like a bad penny."
I grunted and opened the desk drawer. No keys, just old electronics and cell phones, and closed it. Then opened it again and blinked. Oh boy, this is going to be a twist. Oh boy, ready? Sam's cell phone. I recognized it from the day I bailed him out. As soon as I had it in my hand, its heavy solidity made my pulse ratchet up. I brought it out to my car and plugged it in. Started up the phone. Couldn't get past the password. After a few more times, I went back inside. Sam's mom was still doing the laundry. I told Macy to go sit in my car, that I'd like to take her to get ice cream in a few minutes, and then I went upstairs. My heart was pounding harder now. The unpleasant odor still lingered, despite the garbage had been cleaned out.
What's he smelling?
As soon as he found the cell phone in the drawer, now it's pointing towards Eleanor. Or Macy.
Dude, if the little 11-year-old girl's hacking people up and strangling them with piano wire, I'm in.
It seems a lot less practical than the adult, but who knows?
You think his mom has something to do with it?
Why is his phone in the drawer?
If he doesn't want tracked, right? If it's not like a burner phone.
It's possible. It's possible. He could have shut it off and put it in there.
He took off on a bike. The car battery's dead. Left the fucking phone there. Shows that he's at home.
Yeah, he could be going out and killing.
He's out there doing some piano stringing.
Sweat pooled under my armpits, and I peeled the tape off the door and put my shoulder against it. It didn't require much force. A couple of short bursts, and it flung open. Sam's bed was unmade. Laundry on the floor. Dirty dishes. Messy, like his life. No sign of him. My eyes turned to the closet, to the faint stain of a reddish brown on the carpet. I slid open the door, wobbly in its tracks. My eyes watered. The stench hit me, like sewage and old meat. I closed the door and dialed the police.
Okay, so before we go forward, do you think Sam's in there, or he's keeping a body in there?
No, I don't think it's Sam.
I think he's got a victim in there. I bet there's tons of murders sliding under the radar because people just don't expect you to actually kill. So easy.
After unlocking Sam's phone, the police discovered he'd been drafting me an email. It included a link to a more detailed article about the piano wire killer's confession. A confession to 3 of 4 murders, but not to the murder of Sam's sister. Police suspected, even back in 1999, it was the copy. Fuck you. Fuck you!
Fucking gonna die tonight.
Police suspected, even back in 1999, that it was a copycat killing, suspected because the type of wire used to strangle her didn't match with the other victims. Over the years, I'd forgotten this detail. Sam never did. His mom was still downstairs when the police arrived, and I showed them his body.
Oh shit, it is his body.
I have to start over again. That just stopped me in my tracks.
So that's interesting because his mom said he took off on a bike a few days ago.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how this unfolds.
And there's not much more to go, so like you got a lot to wrap up here. Let's split up. Let's be honest.
Fuck. His mom was still downstairs when the police arrived, and I showed them his body, tucked into the closet and curled as if asleep, but rotting, leaking. Yeah, leaking is something that happens after 24 hours, but like every orifice just starts to push. I used to clean that shit up all the time. Only later would the pieces fall into place that even as a child, he suspected his mother of murdering the half-sister who was born from another woman. That right there.
Fucking harlot.
That's a piece of information right there, born from another woman. That the entire summer we explored the tunnels, that's what he really was looking for. Evidence to connect his mother to her death. We found nothing back then, but these past weeks, the piano wire killer's confession brought it all back. A confession Sam's father likely read, but by the time Sam got out of custody, his father was dead. Sam was looking for proof, not only that his sister was murdered, but also his father.
Boom. So between the two of us, we did figure this out.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
A slow unraveling. We jumped around a little bit.
Maybe we should be detectives. Have you considered that? Is it too late?
I'd like to be a detective.
Detective.
He died of blunt force trauma to the head. Unlike his sister's or father's death, which were planned carefully enough, even now it was hard to prove them. Police seemed to think his was improvised. Perhaps he confronted his mother, or perhaps she caught him snooping. She likely threw her back out trying to move his body. Sticking him in the closet and sealing his room was a stopgap measure. But even so, she might have gotten away with it, and I might have assumed he was still out in the world somewhere, running into trouble like always, if I hadn't seen his phone.
It would be so easy.
I never knew when he said this that he was voicing suspicions about his own mother. No wonder his worldview was so bleak, his sense of people one of consistent mistrust. He didn't confide in anyone, not even me, but I'm glad the truth is finally out. I just wonder how many deaths, how many assumed accidents, how many heinous misdeeds go flying under the radar like he says. I'm worried that my best friend has always been right, and it's so much more than we realize. Wow.
That was good, man.
That's good. It's very brutal. This happens all the time, all around us, every day.
For a short story, I like it. It was pretty concise, and there was enough character building of them when they were kids to now. It didn't go too deep. That could have gone 3 times further in depth.
You could have made that into a series and strung it out a lot longer.
I'm not mad that they didn't. You know what I mean? It's well done.
I totally agree.
Interesting one. Good job, Let's Split Up.
Very good misdirects. It was almost like a magician, the way that you wrote that, because
The great misdirect.
hear us fucking jumping around trying to figure it out. But thank you for letting us read this. Everybody, please go ahead and look in the description. Head over to Let's Split Up's Reddit page and let them know what you think about the story. I'm sure that they would love that. Got anything else to say there, Trophy?
I love you.
Aww.
I won't kill you.
I love you too. I won't wear your skin.
I won't wear your skin for long. Just long enough to complete.
Just long enough to dry out, so I can wrap it like a blanket around my body.
Beef jerky.
I am the maker of Masochist. Farewell.
That's what they always do in Scooby-Doo. They're like, let's split up. And then you get killed off real quick.